Welcome back to Shadow Warefare. This channel exists to expose what operates in secret, to reveal the strategies of darkness, and to restore spiritual authority back to the people of God. We don't entertain fear here. We dismantle it. We don't speculate. We expose. And we don't sugarcoat truth, because truth is what sets captives free. Today's message is not random. It is targeted. The topic of this video is this: X, which reveals the 3 objects in your bedroom that witches use as prayer blockers every night. Now listen to me very carefully. If you think witchcraft only works through spells, rituals, or curses spoken over you, you already misunderstand how the spirit realm operates. Most spiritual attacks don't begin with words. They begin with placement. And the most targeted room in your home is not your living room, not your kitchen, not even your doorway. It is your bedroom, because your bedroom is where your guard is lowest. It's where your mind processes. It's where dreams are formed. It's where spiritual access is easy. Stay with me until the end of this message, because the 3rd object I'm going to reveal is the most common and the most overlooked. And once you see it, you'll understand why your prayers feel heavy at night. Let me take you behind the curtain. When I was involved in witchcraft, we were taught something most people never imagine. We didn't always need to attack people directly if we could block their prayers, delay their clarity, disturb their rest, or corrupt their dreams. The battle was already half won. A tired believer is an ineffective believer. A confused believer is an open door. A prayerless believer is defenseless. And the bedroom was the gateway. Why? Because night prayer is powerful. Dreams are spiritual. And sleep lowers conscious resistance, so witches don't just target people. They target environments. We studied bedrooms the way military studies terrain. What objects are present? What images are watched before sleep? What emotions dominate the room? What agreements are reinforced nightly? Because objects are not neutral. Everything carries agreement. Some objects amplify peace. Others distort it. And yes, certain objects function as prayer blockers. Not because they are magical, but because they create spiritual interference. Let me make this clear before I go any further. These objects don't block prayer because God can't hear you. They block prayer because you become spiritually misaligned. Prayer is not blocked at heaven's door. It's disrupted at the source. Now let me reveal the 1st object. The 1st object witches look for in bedrooms is mirrors placed incorrectly. Most people think mirrors are harmless, decorative, normal. They're not. Mirrors are one of the oldest spiritual tools used across cultures, not because they summon demons, but because they fracture focus. A mirror facing the bed, especially directly, creates constant subconscious stimulation. It keeps the mind alert when it should rest. It reinforces self-focus at night instead of surrender. And here's the part most people don't know. Witches use reflective surfaces to monitor spiritual activity, not literally watching like a screen, but tracking atmospheric shift. Bedrooms with mirrors facing beds almost always had restless sleep, vivid, disturbing dreams, or difficulty concentrating in prayer. Prayer requires stillness. Mirrors multiply awareness. We used to say if the room never sleeps, the spirit won't rest, and a restless spirit struggles to pray. Now listen carefully. This doesn't mean every mirror is evil. Placement matters. Mirrors that constantly reflect the sleeper reinforce self-consciousness, anxiety, and spiritual distraction. They keep the mind anchored to the physical instead of yielding to the spiritual, and witches love that. Because a distracted believer is easier to influence. Now let me say something uncomfortable. Many of you pray at night but scroll before bed. You stare at yourself. You replay conversations. You rehearse stress. That environment weakens prayer before it even begins. And mirrors amplify that loop. The 2nd object is even more common and far more dangerous. The 2nd object witches use as prayer blockers is certain images and media devices kept near the bed. TV, phones, tablets, but not because technology is evil, because what flows through them at night shapes your spirit. Nighttime is when the soul is most impressionable. That's why dreams are powerful. And whatever dominates your last moments before sleep often dominates your spiritual atmosphere. Witches don't need to curse people who feed themselves fear, lust, violence, or chaos every night. Those images already do the work. Images don't disappear when the screen turns off. They linger in the imagination. They echo in dreams. They dull spiritual sensitivity. We knew that people who slept with violent, sexual, or disturbing media near them had weaker prayer focus, heavier atmospheres, and slower spiritual response. Their prayers weren't unanswered. They were unfocused. And unfocused prayer lacks authority. Now hear this clearly. This is not about being religious. This is about being aware. Whatever you allow into your spirit before sleep speaks during the night, and witches exploit night influence. We didn't need spells when people sabotaged themselves nightly. Now the third object. This one is subtle. This one is everywhere. And this one shocks people the most. The third object is items connected to past emotional bonds that were never released. Old gifts, letters, clothes, photos, especially from past relationships marked by pain, lust, betrayal, or trauma. Objects carry memory. Memory carries agreement, and agreement opens doors. Bedrooms that stored unresolved emotional artifacts always had disturbed prayer life. Why? Because prayer requires emotional alignment. You cannot fully surrender to God while clinging emotionally to unresolved pasts. Witches didn't need to attach anything to those objects. The attachment already existed. We call them anchors. They anchored the soul to unresolved emotion, keeping the spirit from fully rising in prayer. And most people had no idea. They prayed sincerely, but part of them was still tied elsewhere. Now pause for a moment. Some of you already know what just came to mind. That one object you've kept for no reason. That item you never questioned. That reminder you've normalized. That's not condemnation. That's revelation. Light exposes so freedom can follow. And here's the truth most people don't realize. Removing these objects doesn't make you spiritual. Removing agreement does. The object is just the doorway. What matters is what it represents. Witches don't fear clean rooms. They fear aligned rooms. Alignment restores clarity. Clarity restores authority. Authority restores effective prayer. And your bedroom matters more than you think. Because night prayer shifts things daytime effort never can. I'll pause here. The next part is critical, because I'm going to expose how witches check whether prayer is being blocked, how to cleanse the bedroom without rituals, and how to permanently restore nighttime authority. Let me now take you deeper, because what I'm about to explain is the part witches never want believers to understand. We didn't guess whether prayers were blocked. We checked. There were signs. And these signs showed up not in church, but at night. The first sign was dream interference. When someone prayed sincerely but their bedroom atmosphere was compromised, their dreams became noisy, fragmented, or emotionally charged, not always demonic, sometimes just exhausting. Dreams that went nowhere, dreams that replayed stress, dreams that ended before resolution. Dreams are spiritual processing. When prayer flows freely, dreams bring clarity, instruction, or peace, even if symbolic. But when prayer is blocked, dreams become cluttered. We knew then that night authority was weak. The second sign was mental resistance during night prayer. People would try to pray at night and suddenly feel sleepy, distracted, irritated, or impatient. Not tired in the body, tired in the will. That resistance didn't come from God. It came from atmospheric interference. Night prayer requires surrender. Interference resists surrender. And here's the part that surprises most people. We didn't attack prayer directly. We attacked consistency. If we could make prayer feel frustrating instead of powerful, most people quit on their own. That's why bedroom objects mattered so much. They shaped atmospheres silently. Now let me explain something very important. Removing the objects alone is not enough. Witches know this. You can throw away everything and still carry agreement internally. That's why some people clean rooms but still feel heavy. The object didn't block prayer by existing. It blocked prayer by reinforcing agreement. So restoration works like this. First, you identify. Second, you renounce. Third, you realign. Not with rituals, with intention. When someone removed an object and consciously broke agreement with what it represented, the atmosphere shifted immediately. We felt it. Confusion lifted, resistance dropped, authority returned. Let me give you an example. There was a man who prayed faithfully but always felt blocked at night. His bedroom was clean, simple, quiet. But he kept one thing by his bed, a gift from a past relationship filled with betrayal and emotional damage. He said it meant nothing. But every night that memory spoke, not audibly, but emotionally. Once he removed it and forgave genuinely, his night prayer changed overnight. Not because of superstition, because alignment returned. Alignment always restores flow. Now listen carefully. Your bedroom does not need to look holy, it needs to be submitted. Submission changes atmosphere faster than decoration ever will. You don't need symbols, you need surrender. That's why witches feared rooms where people regularly surrendered before sleep. Those rooms were quiet but powerful. No chaos, no emotional residue, no divided focus, just rest. And rest is dangerous to darkness. A rested believer hears clearly, a rested believer prays accurately. A rested believer walks in authority. That's why sleep disruption is a primary strategy. If your sleep is attacked, your prayer is weakened. And if your prayer is weakened, your authority shrinks. So let me speak directly to you now. Tonight, before you sleep, don't panic. Don't overthink. Don't become fearful. Fear creates more access than objects ever could. Instead, do this. Take responsibility. Look at your bedroom honestly. Ask yourself one question. Does this room agree with surrender or distraction? That question alone will reveal everything. Remove what pulls you backward. Move what distracts your focus. Release what carries unresolved emotion. And then do the most important thing. Before sleep, acknowledge Christ's authority over that space. Not loudly, not dramatically, simply sincerely. Say, Jesus, you rule here, and mean it. Then rest. You'll notice the difference, not because magic happened, but because agreement shifted. Witches can't block prayers that flow from a line. They can't interfere with authority that's consistently enforced. And that's why some believers pray all night and get nothing, while others pray quietly and shake atmospheres. It's not volume, it's environment. And your bedroom is not just a place to sleep. It's a spiritual chamber. Guard it. Align it, and your prayers will rise unhindered. If this message opened your eyes, don't treat it lightly. Share it. Support the channel. Subscribe to Shadow Warefare. Because exposure removes power, and alignment restores authority. The strongest bedrooms we ever encountered were not the most religious-looking ones. They didn't have candles burning all night. They didn't have symbols everywhere. They didn't feel tense or dramatic. They felt settled. There was a stillness in those rooms that made darkness uncomfortable. We used to say among ourselves, nothing sticks here, and that's the key. Darkness sticks where there is residue. Residue of fear, residue of lust, residue of regret, residue of distraction. But where surrender happens nightly, residue doesn't accumulate. Those people slept peacefully. They dreamed clearly, they prayed simply, they woke rested. And because of that, their authority carried weight. Let me say this clearly because some of you need to hear. God is not ignoring your prayers. He's not distant. He's not withholding. Your prayers are powerful when they rise from alignment. What interferes is not God, it's atmosphere. And atmosphere shaped by agreement. That's why witches focused on bedrooms. Because if we could influence the place where you rest, we could influence the way you rise. If we could disrupt your night, your day followed. But when the bedroom was aligned, nothing we tried worked. No monitoring, no influence, no interference. We were blind to what we couldn't access. And that's the freedom God intends for you. Not fear-driven living, not obsessive cleansing, but intentional alignment. So hear this final instruction and hear it well. Don't turn this into superstition. Don't turn this into anxiety. Don't start fearing objects. Objects have no power without agreement. What matters is who rules your space. If Jesus rules your heart, let him rule your environment. If he rules your life, let him rule your night. Because night authority produces day clarity. And when your prayer flows freely at night, your life shifts during the day. Tonight, do not rush into sleep. Take a moment. Align your heart. Align your space. Align your will. Then rest. And as you rest, trust this truth. Witches cannot block prayers that rise from surrendered authority. They cannot touch a life that consistently realigns. They cannot interfere where Christ truly rules. That's not opinion. That's confession. If this message helped you understand why your prayers felt heavy and what to do about it, stand with this channel. Like the video. Subscribe to Shadow Warefare. Share this with someone whose prayer life needs clarity again. Because darkness loses power when truth is spoken. Stay alert, stay aligned, and never forget, when your environment agrees with heaven, your prayers cannot be blocked.